Hey, kiddos. Wow, I actually sounded like cutie Cinderella there for a second. Hey, hi, how are you doing?
Hey, how you doing?
What's this, you may ask? Well, the Coke Zero. Not only a Coke Zero, a Coke Zero, zero caffeine. Okay, this is starting to sound like an ad, but it's really not. And it's actually like 8 p.m. right now, my time. So me drinking a Coke Zero usually at this time would be very, very fatal to my sleep tonight. But that's not why I'm drinking the zero caffeine version. I actually quit coffee. Well, caffeine, but I'm probably gonna say coffee a lot because that's what I usually drink a lot or used to. But yeah, I quit coffee as of about a month ago. And if you've seen my videos before on my channel, this may seem like a completely different kind of setup, and it is. This is a bit of a different video from what I normally do. This is totally not scripted. It's all from the dome, you know? I'm not funny at all. I really probably should script my videos. But this is not a video essay really. This is more of just like a personal story. But don't worry. It's not that. This is more of just me, I guess, blabbing at the camera. I don't know why I felt the need to talk to y'all about this, but I don't know, I just kind of like talking to you. I like talking to the camera. Like, who doesn't like talking about themselves, right? But I'm blabbing again. But about a month ago, I decided to quit caffeine altogether. And I don't mean just having decaf or just having a pop here and there or something with little caffeine in it. I mean completely cold turkey. And you don't really hear very often people talk about this. I mean, I'm sure on YouTube you can find videos of other people quitting caffeine or coffee. I'm not the only one, that's not what I'm trying to say, but if you talk to your everyday people around you, your friends, your family, you usually don't really hear about it very often, people trying to quit caffeine or quit coffee. And honestly, I never really thought about it before, but for some reason, I don't know if it's because it's the winter now and like the seasonal depression is really kicking in there, but I kind of started to notice that my anxiety levels were starting to get a bit higher than usual. And I'm not really gonna get into why, and to be honest, I really don't know why. I think it's just something I've kind of ignored for a while, but I've been kind of trying to look for some little solutions here and there that can help out with that, but also just trying to find ways in my life that I can become a little more healthier, maybe kick some bad habits that I have. So I thought, why not? I'll just quit caffeine. And there's a numerous amount of reasons. It's not just anxiety. And I'm not trying to say that I have this horrible anxiety that just overconsumes me in my life. It's not really like that at all. It's just sometimes I feel a little bit on edge at times, and I realize coffee's probably really not helping with that, or just caffeine in general. I thought I'm just gonna do this little experiment and just see where it goes, see what it does to my body, see if I notice any differences. I didn't really look into it a whole lot, but oh, okay. Do you want to light up? You wanted to be in my video. There you go. All right, yeah, sorry, that's my dog behind me. She might pop up every now and then. Where was I? I don't know, but anyways, I just decided that I was gonna quit cold turkey. I think there are a lot of benefits to quitting caffeine and coffee. I was a heavy drinker. That sounds like alcohol or something, or drinking. But I was a heavy coffee drinker. I probably had, 3 cups a day. Doesn't sound like maybe anything too crazy, but it is above the recommended daily average. And I always needed that coffee. As soon as I woke up first thing in the morning, I would have a cup of coffee. And then I'd have maybe another one around lunchtime. And then another one around 2:30. And really, you hear a lot of people talk about caffeine being a drug. It really is. I started to realize that through this journey of quitting it. But you don't really think of it as a drug when you're constantly drinking it. And you don't really see it as an addiction either. No one really classifies it that way. Maybe you like kind of joke.
Ha ha ha, hee hee, I have a caffeine or coffee addiction, but
It never really seems that serious. And honestly, fully honestly, this wasn't really anything too serious for me either. But again, I just wanted to try a little experiment. I tried a keto diet way back just for fun. I don't know. I like doing these little torture experiments to myself apparently. And that was awful, by the way. I do not recommend anyone doing keto. Maybe I was just doing it incorrectly, but I got the keto flu for so long after doing it that I just felt terrible. I literally felt sick all the time, and it didn't feel right. You look it up and it is a typical thing with going on a keto diet when you first start, but it was just awful. I couldn't kick it. I think I did the keto diet for maybe like 3 weeks, but I just wasn't feeling well. Maybe I was doing it wrong. Maybe my body just wasn't meant to do it, but I would never do it again, and I wouldn't recommend it to anyone just based off of how I felt from it. But this kind of felt like another experiment that I could do just to see, how it made my body feel. So I decided to try it out probably at the beginning of November. I think I started. I don't know. It just kind of came out of nowhere. I was like, I'm just gonna quit it. I'm just gonna quit coffee. First, it was just coffee. I didn't really think anything beyond that. I didn't really think, oh, it's the caffeine that I'm quitting. But then I realized, wait, yeah, that's why I'm doing it. So just cold turkey, just stopped having coffee morning by morning. And honestly, it was pretty easy the first day or two. My days felt pretty normal. I wanted to have the coffee in the morning. It was kind of a craving just to have it because I've had it for so long, but it wasn't anything like physically I was feeling over my body. But then once day 3 hit, oh buddy, yikes, it was pretty bad. I was craving coffee so bad in the morning. I really wanted it. But not only that, I was waking up with a headache. And I think I was waking up not only with a headache because of the withdrawal symptoms of caffeine, but also because I just was not able to sleep at night, which sounds very counterintuitive of quitting caffeine. Caffeine's a stimulant, right? So it keeps you awake. And I could not sleep. As soon as my head hit the pillow, thoughts were going everywhere. I would maybe fall asleep for like a good 20, 30, 40 minutes, and then I would just wake back up, and then I wouldn't be able to fall asleep again. And that would just happen the whole entire night. So that was probably like the first 3, 4, 5 days. And I was having a headache all day. I really wanted to have that coffee, but I just kept trying to push through. I was like, okay, this is gonna go away eventually, right? This will go away. And then once I probably gotten about a week in, I was still having those headaches periodically. I was definitely having the cravings, which is why I got into Coke Zero Zero caffeine. I drank Coke Zero before, but I decided I was gonna try the zero caffeine version. I needed something. I needed something that wasn't just water, because you can't drink anything when you realize everything has caffeine in it. I think I even ate like a few things with chocolate at the beginning because I just totally, it didn't go through my mind that chocolate had caffeine in it. And honestly, there's probably a bunch of other foods that have caffeine in it that I'm not even realizing. I should probably look into that. I didn't really do a lot of research if you didn't notice. I just kind of went straight into it. But yeah, I highly recommend trying this. I know I'm gonna get a lot of comments below about
blah blah blah, aspartame, blah blah blah, bad unnatural stuff in it.
syrups, whatever it is. I don't even know. Fake sugar. I don't know. You just say whatever, but whatever gets me through me not having caffeine anymore. I think this is fine. I'm gonna go ahead and just drink this every now and then. I'm not replacing coffee with this. I'm not drinking it 3 times a day like I did coffee, but I'm having one maybe every other day. And then I'll have probably like a bubbly like all the other days that I don't have this. I just need something other than just water. I do drink a lot of water, but I needed something else to replace like the dopamine, I guess. The dopamine of drinking coffee. But this really helped. I highly recommend just getting this. It doesn't taste exactly the same as Coke Zero, but it's pretty close. Good enough for me, honestly. But then by day 7, I was starting to have a whole nother bit of symptoms that I wasn't having before that were even worse, to be honest. I still had the headache pretty badly in the morning. The cravings were still there. I was really tired in the morning because I wasn't getting very good sleep, as I mentioned. I was waking up throughout the night still. But now I had absolutely horrible muscle aches in the middle of the night. Just horrible. I actually thought I had the flu at first, but then I finally decided to, I can search this up on Google. I should probably be looking into this a little bit more. Or all these things that I'm going through because of the caffeine withdrawal. So I looked into it, and yes, the muscle tension, the muscle aches is actually part of caffeine withdrawal. Like, who would have known? I mean, I at least didn't know. Like, this totally surprised me. And actually, let me just pull up symptoms and go through those with you, because I don't think people realize what caffeine withdrawal is like, because it's pretty tough. I haven't been through other withdrawals in my life or anything I can really think of, but it wasn't easy and it didn't feel great. But let me just like pull up some of these caffeine withdrawal symptoms that I found online. So headache, like I mentioned, that makes sense. Fatigue. Yeah, okay, well, you're not getting the stimulant anymore. Sudden withdrawal may cause tremors. Yikes, that's terrifying. Tremors from stopping coffee, from stopping caffeine. Like, I never would have thought this. Like, did any of you guys know this? Like, did you know it'd be this hard to quit caffeine? Yeah, but it's funny, because when you look up caffeine symptoms, just caffeine symptoms, sounds like I'm looking up like an illness or a disorder or something, but if you just look up caffeine symptoms, the first thing that comes up is short-term effects, which actually all seem kind of positive, weirdly enough, and I'm gonna get a little bit into that as well. But when you look at short-term effects, it just says increased mental alertness, physical energy, breathing and heart rate. Okay, maybe those ones aren't so great, but increased mental alertness and physical energy. I mean, doesn't sound too bad, right? Like, that's the first thing that comes up, not the negative symptoms. And then there's obviously like a section for if you have too much caffeine. So if you have too much caffeine, like I did when I had 3 cups a day, this is what it says. So symptoms include increased heart rate, heart palpitations, and high blood pressure, which heart disease runs in my family, so this is actually kind of scary. And also, my dad was told to have less caffeine or completely cut out caffeine because of his heart disease. So, I mean, probably another reason that it was good that I'm going through this. But other symptoms include insomnia, sleep disruptions. I had that a lot. I always had trouble falling asleep. Probably was the caffeine and just never realized. Anxiety, again, something that I mentioned. Jitters, also had that. Upset stomach, yep, had that too. I always thought maybe I had undiagnosed IBS, probably TMI, but I always thought maybe I had it, but my stomach's actually been a lot better since I've been off caffeine. Nausea, restlessness, headaches, dizziness, dehydration. The dehydration one, actually, I fully believe, but it's weird. I always thought I was getting dehydrated from caffeine before, but when I would look it up online, because I looked up this stuff a lot online, like before, like years before, even when I was, before I was even thinking about quitting caffeine, I would look up things about like health benefits of coffee. And a lot of things were positive that would come up, like you should drink coffee. And I think that's just a cultural thing. It's a huge cultural phenomenon all around the world. It's kind of like alcohol, but we talk a little bit more, well, not a little bit more, we talk a lot more about the negative effects of alcohol. We don't really talk about the negative effects of coffee. It somehow completely got away with that. Completely got away with all the negative effects. I'm sure people know about the jitteriness and, maybe like your heart rate going up, but I don't think people really think about the long-term effects of it and what it's actually doing to you and maybe your mental health too. But the dehydration thing, like I was saying, anytime I look up anything about dehydration and coffee, it would always say like, oh, it's debunked. Coffee does not make you dehydrated. There's water in it. There's lots of water in it. It does not dehydrate you, but I always had this feeling that it was dehydrating me. I would always feel very dry. I had very dry skin. I had very chapped lips all the time. And that's actually something that I also have felt a difference in since I've quit caffeine, is my skin feels a lot more soft and moisturized without me needing to do anything differently. My lips feel better. I just overall feel like I have more clarity too. I don't know. I don't know if I just believe all these articles that you read online, just again, because we have such a culture of drinking coffee. And especially if you go to places like Europe, where a lot of their culture surrounds being social around coffee, and it's been around for so long that way. I think that it's really hard to get the research out there that coffee actually does negatively affect you. We just don't really hear about it as much, and there's always those other articles coming out that try to say so otherwise, and it kind of makes you think, like, is there a motive behind that, like an ulterior motive of why they're hiding all these negative effects of coffee and bringing that more to the forefront, more to the conversation, so that everyone's having that conversation and then realizing what they're putting in their body may actually be doing something to them, right? So yeah, now it's been about a month and a half maybe even, that I haven't had caffeine, maybe other than like an accidental chocolate here and there. Even chocolate I've kind of mostly stopped. Actually, I've tried completely not having any since I've found out that I had caffeine in it. But it's been about a month and a half now, and I actually do feel a huge difference. Now, this is all anecdotally, right? This is my own personal experience. I'm not trying to give you advice or self-help that you should quit caffeine or you should do this, you should do that. This is the truth. This is facts. This is my research. That's not at all what I'm getting at. But what I think maybe everyone should try is just experimenting sometimes with your body and what you put into it. Things like this, like quitting caffeine. Just try it for 30 days, try it for 2 months, see how it makes you feel. If you don't feel any different, or you feel like maybe it didn't have negative effects on you, then maybe you just go back. Maybe it doesn't have as many effects on you. But for me, it did a lot for me. And it's only been about, like I said, a month and a half. I feel more clarity. I feel like I have less brain fog now. I'm able to fall asleep a lot faster now. Now, the beginning, when I was talking about withdrawal symptoms, of course, it was really hard to get through. And the days were really rough. But now I feel like I can more naturally fall asleep easier. I sleep throughout the whole night. I used to have really bad insomnia. When they would say it takes most people 15 minutes to fall asleep, I was like, oh yeah, that's bullshit. I never had that in my life, but now I feel a lot better for all those reasons, and for that, I think I am going to continue staying away from caffeine. Now, I do want to get to a point where, if I'm on vacation or a friend wants to go meet up and get a coffee, absolutely. I don't think this is something that you need to completely cut yourself off of. I think the short-term effects are fine every now and then. It's just consistently doing it and consistently having caffeine and coffee is where you can see the long-term effects that'll really affect your mental health, maybe like anxiety, and then, physical health as well, like your heart. And just to be clear, I went completely cold turkey. I didn't even try decaf. For those of you who don't know, decaf actually still has caffeine in it. It just goes through a process where they remove I believe they remove most of the caffeine, but there's still traces of caffeine in it. It's not a lot, so if you feel like you'll actually be able to cut back on your caffeine by drinking decaf, that's totally fine. Now, I drink black coffee. I love black coffee. I just have a taste for it.
I'm taking coffee orders. What do you guys want?
I'll do an iced chai tea latte with mocha.
I'll just do a black coffee.
Okay, be f***ing for real.
No sugar, no cream, nothing like that. Just straight up.
Wow, dude. Oh my God.
I couldn't go decaf. It just has a totally different taste. I am a coffee snob, even though I'm quitting it. I just would rather just drink water in the morning than have decaf coffee. But if you're someone who can stand that, or just wants the warmth of the coffee in the morning, absolutely try it. Or if you still do things like lattes and you put milk in there and creamer, sugar, whatever it is that you put in it, you may not even be able to tell a big difference, to be honest, because it's still quite bitter. So you'll still get that taste in that sense. But if you drink black coffee like me, it is a bit harder to go to the decaf coffee, but to each their own. I was also thinking about, when women usually get pregnant, they usually cut off caffeine completely, or drink very little traces of caffeine, or eat things with minimal caffeine in it. I don't know where the research stands today. I know there's kind of a debate back and forth on whether or not you should have coffee while you're pregnant. But one thing I was thinking about is, if people don't realize the caffeine withdrawals that you can have from quitting cold turkey like I did, then once you're pregnant and you try to cut that back and cut off coffee completely, you're already going through so much stress in your body from being pregnant, from having this baby in you, that you're also going through the stress of withdrawal. And I think if you're thinking about, conceiving soon, having a baby soon of your own, and I'm not trying to give medical advice, but it's just something that I would definitely make sure that you're aware of, because that could just make you feel even more sick on top of, morning sickness and everything that's going on in your body at that time. I think it just kind of goes to show the withdrawals that you go through with caffeine. It must not be great for you. It must not be that good for you, honestly. You know, you cut it off for a few days, that you would be feeling this horrible, that your body would be craving those things so badly and feeling like your body has a dependency on these things. So I think that speaks a lot for itself too, just knowing the withdrawal symptoms that you go through when you quit caffeine like this. And again, I'm not trying to give any advice that you should quit caffeine or that it's horrible for you or it's bad for you or that everyone needs to quit. But I just wanted to share my own personal story that when I stopped caffeine, it really made me feel a lot better. I feel a little more motivated. Like I said, I have a lot more clarity now in my head, thinking. It just takes time. So if you're thinking about doing it, I really encourage you, maybe do a little more research and look it up more so than I did, just so you can prepare yourself a little bit more for it. And yeah, I wish you good luck, because I really think it could be a great thing for you. And just take it day by day and see how it makes you feel. And hopefully in the end, you'll gain something from this, whether it's you're feeling better or you gain some knowledge that, you know, it's not really affecting your body and you can continue drinking it. Or maybe even from now on, you'll just drink a little bit less caffeine. And that's where I hope to eventually get. But for now, I like not drinking caffeine, so I think I'll just keep it that way. But anyways, thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. I know this was a lot different of a video than what I normally do. Again, it's not scripted. I just wanted to chat with you all about what's going on in my life and what I'm going through, and just kind of wanted to share some knowledge of what I went through. If you like this video, please give it a like and consider subscribing to my channel and hit that bell icon notification to let me know when my next video comes out. I usually make videos on pop culture and nostalgic topics, but every now and then I might do something like this as well. Thanks again for watching. Love you all. Bye.